Hi everybody and welcome to another Kalicube Tuesdays. Today I'm here with Amir Glatt, who is the founder and the CTO at Duda. Welcome, Amir.
Hi Jason, great to be here.
Brilliant, wonderful. And we're going to be talking about AI and digital marketing agencies, good or bad. I think that's hugely interesting and I'm tickled pink to be talking about this today. But first you get the song. A quick hello and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Amir Glatt. Everyone gets that introduction, and I'm really happy to have you here. Anton Schulke introduced us, and I didn't expect to be talking about this topic, AI and digital marketing agencies, good or bad, with a CTO of a major corporation like you.
Oh, well, I'm excited to talk about AI as this is such a big revolution, right, in our industry. Like some saying, like bigger than like the first iPhone. So talking about
Brilliant.
AI and how it's going to influence our customers, like Duda's main audience, our digital marketing agencies. So to talk about how it's going to influence them, I think it's a topic that I'm really happy to discuss.
Right, and you've got 20,000 digital marketing agencies using Duda, and now it's 20,001 because Kalicube uses it.
Actually, now it's like 21,000.
Oh, 21,001 because we're the one.
Yeah. So 21,001 and like kind of like million live websites built and live and running by those 21,000 of agencies that we have. Some are very large, some are small, but yeah.
And you use a lot of AI in your platform already, or not very much?
We just released last week like the first like feature in kind of like beta, which is really cool and quite I would say the first step, but a very obvious and important step, which is content writing. So now you go to the Duda platform, you have you write text, you have like what we call the text editor. Now you have an AI assistant, can help you. First, it's really cool. You can write something in very, very bad English with spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, with like very low vocabulary, and just say improve text, and you will sound like a Shakespeare. Or you can make text longer and shorter. You can create a title for an existing text or text for an existing title. Or you can just like write a paragraph from scratch and just like answer a few questions and it will do it for you. So just
which is huge in terms of, I mean, especially agencies using the platform. They can also give clients access who can then write their own blog posts, and they don't need to go from tool to tool to do it. But that's for later. Before we do that, we're going to look at the brand SERPs for Duda. I find this hugely interesting because Duda is actually quite ambiguous. And here we have the USA, and Duda has a knowledge panel, but it's not triggering in the USA. And then if we look in London, we can see where the confusion is coming in and why Google isn't triggering that knowledge panel for Duda in the USA, because we can see the C results about that there is a Duda company knowledge panel, but there is confusion and ambiguity between Duda the company and Duda, Mr. Duda, the president of the Republic of Poland. And if I go to Poland, of course, I get just the president and not the company. And that is indicative of the problems that companies can have when their name is ambiguous. It's not only getting the knowledge panel, which you have, but even when you've got a knowledge panel, dominating, becoming the dominant entity, the obvious dominant entity across the world, and especially in a country where you're competing with the president. How does that feel, Amir?
That like we should not try to compete in Poland.
The first step is to become the dominant entity in London, then America, and then maybe Poland. But maybe when he's not president anymore, it won't be such a huge problem.
Yeah,
but that's a problem for tomorrow.
Some things to say to our marketing team after this podcast.
Well, I mean, what we do at Kalicube is we specialize in knowledge panels, building them. You don't need one because you've got one, but then we can also specialize in becoming the dominant entity, which is where my little sales pitch comes in. But now, away from the sales pitches of Kalicube and knowledge panels and how we deal with knowledge panels for our clients, back to digital marketing agencies, who incidentally can use Kalicube Pro to do that same thing. But digital marketing agencies and AI good or bad. Now, you started talking about content in the Duda platform. How do you expect agencies to be able to use that?
Yeah, so I think this is just like one part, right? One area, the area of like writing content, and I expect like our belief in general is that AI can help agencies to become better. We'll get more into that a bit later. But I think if you look at content writing, so agencies, they have copywriters. So I think one copywriter today can handle, I don't know, building of let's say 3 websites a month. I think with AI, the same copywriter will be able to handle 20 websites a month. So probably just becoming much more efficient. Instead of writing everything from scratch, can let the AI start doing the first writing, do some corrections and so on. But this is just one area, and I think AI in general, there are so many different areas. When I think about digital marketing agencies,
yeah,
there are so many areas that AI is going to make things much easier.
Well, if we start with content, I mean, you were talking about expanding articles and summarizing articles, but also research. All of a sudden, they don't need to research anymore. You can write a bullet list of what you want to do, and it will write the article for you. So it saves you enormous amounts of research. That must be huge for agencies because they don't understand the business of their clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're talking about research, even before writing, just kind of understanding what should they write about, get ideas for topics, then the actual writing. If we're talking about doing on-site SEO, which is I don't know, generating alt tags for all the images, generating title, description, this all could be automated, and it's going to be automated by the CMS platforms, by Duda, by Wix, by WordPress, by everyone. Everyone are going to just embed those AI capabilities into the platform, including building landing pages in automated way, and including doing e-commerce management in automated way, and so on and so on. So I think what will happen, and I think this is my opinion, right? We need to see it
Right.
we need to see it through. But I think what will happen is in the end, it's going to be easier to do. Let's say that a digital marketing agency is doing today, I don't know, that amount of things. Maybe 70% of the things they are doing are just going to become easier to do. And because it's going to become easier to do, then I think the demand of customers, that's going to be cheaper.
Well, there's a question. It becomes easier, it becomes quicker. The same person can do 20 instead of 3 of whatever it is they're doing. Does that mean people will lose their jobs, or does it mean the agencies will take on more clients and more clients will be interested in these services because they'll become cheaper?
Yeah, so I think AI is really such a revolution that agencies will need to adapt. I think agencies that will not do anything, we say, I'm doing exactly everything the same now with this AI world. I think those agencies will not be very successful, in the long run. And I think agencies, the way that I think about it, I think agencies should do 3 things to adapt. The first, they need to be more efficient. They need to make sure that whatever they do, it costs them half of what it cost them before. And this is pretty obvious, right? Because AI enables them to do that. It enables them to write content faster, to design faster, to research faster, and so on.
You say it's obvious, but it's only obvious when you've said it. So that was number 1. What's number 2? What's the second really obvious thing that you're about to tell me?
The second one is, it's related to number 1, but from a different angle. The second one is that I think agencies should offer more services.
Oh, right,
so,
okay.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Let's say that you are kind of you're not offering content services, like managing a blog for a client, for increasing their SEO for organic terms.
All right.
So, and you say, hey, I don't have copywriters, it's not my thing, I don't know how to do it. Now with AI, you can offer it very cheaply, right? You can start to say, okay, I'm going to offer content service. I'm going to write 2 blog posts a week for you. I'm going to manage it for you. With AI, you can do it almost in an automated way. And suddenly you have another service that you're providing. It could be for any other service. So if you're becoming much more efficient, you can offer the same kind of like umbrella, like kind of like more services, and actually monetize like, more, or even lower the cost of the core service, and like, monetize on additional services.
Oh, well, sorry, and that's the thing is either you either upsell additional services, or you reduce the price, add additional services to keep up to the same price, or keep the same price and add additional services and say this is all now included.
Exactly.
Which is the best way to present it? This is a battle we're having internally at Kalicube. Is it better to reduce prices and then add additional services, or keep the price the same and say all of this is free included?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the type of customers. Typically, like I think like to bundle it from the beginning, it's better. It's always like more difficult to upsell, right? But it really depends on the competition and what others will offer. So,
okay, it depends.
Yeah.
And what's the third really simple, obvious thing that we should be doing?
Yeah, so the third one is not so simple, but I think is very important. Is I think like, agencies should become more strategic. And what do I mean by this? Strategic in terms of like their clients. So I think, many people are asking, will AI replace agencies, right? Because it's going to be easier to like create content, create websites, do all of those things. And I was saying that like, maybe it's easier to do all of those with AI, but it's not going to be easier to be successful online. If you are a small business or a large business, you want to be successful online, right? We know it's like it's a complicated and competitive world out there, right? There's so many different things. It's like your website strategy and your content strategy and your social media strategy and your reputation management and how and your SEO and how everything is working together, and that's not easy. So I think agencies, if they will become strategic in the sense that they will be able to kind of like build a plan for the business on how to be successful online and how the different parts are playing with it and how it kind of like all goes into like the budget of the business and so on. I think they will be like very much valuable, and maybe they will have more time to do it now that AI will take away many repetitive tasks that they're doing every day, and AI will do.
Right, and that the idea of strategic, that really hit home for me, because we're currently talking at Kalicube about building your search strategy around understanding credibility and deliverability. And a lot of that is to do with creating additional content on second and third party sites, means building out your entire strategy. And the Kalicube Pro platform actually automates the preparation of that. And Keaton Storts, who uses the platform, says, I love the data coming out of Kalicube Pro because it shows me the digital strategy step by step in 10 minutes. Oh, wow. So you've just made my day. Thank you so much, Amir. Right, sorry, to get back away from Kalicube Pro, you said good or bad. I mean, so far it's all been good. What's the bad?
Yeah, so the bad of AI is that I said in the beginning, I think that like in the end, you won't be able to charge the same amount for the same type of service. For example, if you are just like building a website of, let's say, I don't know, 10 pages, building a 10 pages website, static website like that, and you charge for it, I don't know, like 3K USD, I think it's going to be difficult to justify that in a year, So
right, because businesses will be able to say, here's 5 or 10 Google Docs of the content. These are the 10 pages. Build it, create the images, and off you go. And somebody's going to create a system where that's possible.
Yeah, you say, hey, I can use like tools out there to create those like 10 pages automatically for me, and it's good.
Oh, right, yeah.
But if you add on top, I'm not just like creating the site for you. I'm making sure that you are successful. I'm connecting me to SEO. I'm doing that. I'm kind of like, managing your reputation. I'm doing all of that together. That becomes like something like very, very different. So.
Right. So just building websites is going to need to become building the website and managing your digital presence and your brand reputation, connecting you to the SEO optimization to make sure that you're present on Google. So it becomes, by default, if I'm going to build you a site, I also have to provide you with a digital strategy.
or if you manage to build your sites really at scale at very, very low cost, that's another option, right? But that's not for any agency. But if you can say, okay, great, I can charge you now for a website, whatever, $100 to build you a beautiful website, and I know that to me it's going to cost $10, and I can market it. I can use AI to actually acquire customers as an agency. I can use AI to automate campaigns. Like we do that, we show how agency can do it with our API. Now with AI, it's crazy. You can really automate campaigns to any niche vertical. So you can automatically create a campaign. Think about it for any kind of sub vertical that will show on Facebook. Will show, hey, let me build your site. With an example of the site, you can go in and see kind of a demo of your website, something that is very personalized. So you automate that, and then you also automate the creation and cut costs down. So that's also a great way to be successful. But I don't know if it's for any agency to go into the automation side.
Sure. Well, and there's another question then. Does that mean people are going to lose their jobs? The website builders, for developers, are going to lose their jobs? Or does it mean that more companies will be able to get websites? So we won't lose any jobs, we'll expand the service.
Yeah, I don't know if people will lose jobs. I'm not sure. It's really hard to tell. Developers, I don't think so. Developers, there's so many things to do right on top, and designers as well. I think copywriting could shrink. I don't know how many copywriters there are today, but copywriting could shrink, I think. But everyone should just kind of make sure that what they're doing, they can add value on top of AI.
Right.
Anyone should think about it. If AI can do exactly what they're doing today, they're not in a good position.
Right, that's a really, really, really good point. I mean, there are two questions that jump to mind from that. You're the Chief Technical Officer at Duda. My immediate thought was, well, you can just get one developer to use ChatGPT or another technology to write all of your code, and you can fire the other 9. But that's not the case.
No, that's not the case. But we definitely do, start to use AI to make our developers more productive. Right. So there are different tools. There's you can use Autopilot of GitHub, which is just into where you write the code, or you can use ChatGPT or others. And developers are already using it. It's amazing for helping developers to be more productive. We are still far away from a phase where you can say that AI can replace our developers. That's not the case.
Right. And then from a content writing perspective, Andrea Volpini from WordLift talks about the dance between humans and machines. And his idea is that you get the machines to write, then the content writer comes in and makes it better, prettier, more attractive, more effective for SEO, feeds it back to the machine that can then perform better and feeds it back to me. So you end up in a situation where the content will get better and better. So the competition becomes harder and harder, but also vast amounts of content being created. Are we going to end up with another situation like we did with spammy links back in the day before Penguin, where we have vast amounts of information, vast amounts of content, which are all very similar, information overload?
Yeah, we already are in a world of information overlap, right? And overload, for sure. So I think it's definitely gonna create more of that. We'll see how Google are gonna play with generated content with AI, but I think it's gonna be very difficult to ignore it or to say we are blocking AI generated content. I think it also depends on what type of content. I can tell you, for example, in Duda, so obviously we have our own kind of content writers and copywriters, and there are different things. There are blog posts, there are banners of ads, and there's product strings that we need to provide and so on. So some of the stuff banners, for example, some of our marketers are now not going through the content writer, but using ChatGPT and just use this result, which many times are, for banner, for one-liner, it's many times is just as good or even better than what a human can write. And it's much faster. It's not just cheaper, it's much faster. So you actually, instead of going to the content writer bring it back to you, you can just as a marketer, you can just go on with the campaign faster. So there are areas already that we can see how it replaces some functions.
Well, with those one-liners, are we not going to end up in a situation where people end up basically spotting a ChatGPT generated title because they all become so similar?
I think it's difficult, it's like the English language. It's lots of combination. I don't know if you'll be able to spot that. I don't know. I'm not like an expert in that, but I doubt it.
Okay, right. Moving on to other ways agencies can use AI. I mean, you were talking about one-liner headlines. I mean, for Google Ads, for example, generating ad copy, that must be a huge win for them.
Yeah, there are many things that you can use for AI. You can use, like one of the things that we actually want to build in Duda, but you can do it today without Duda, is something really cool, which is like AI-powered like content collection form. So let's say that you serve an SMB, right? One of the first things that you want to do is collect content, collect data from the business, right? Mm-hmm. What is the business? What's your services? What's your description? Where are you located? What's the FAQ about the business? That later on you can use in all the properties and all the content you're going to generate for them, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things that you can do now with AI is that you can generate like a form that is dynamic based on the business. So we just ask, let's say, so you just ask one question: what is the vertical of your business, and maybe another field of description, and then you can ask ChatGPT, okay, what are the typical FAQs for such a business? What are typical pages for such a business? What are typical, and then you create a form that you send to the end client, which instead of asking the client to start right, which is very difficult for the end clients to do, they can just choose from a list which is very relevant, which makes it so much easier. As an example.
Right. Oh, that's genius. That's absolutely brilliant. Now I'm gonna name check Elisa, because we can do this for Kalicube Pro for onboarding the clients, because this is one thing we struggle with, is which questions we need to ask each client to make sure that we're getting the right information. That's genius, Amir. Thank you.
Yeah. Now you can really personalize it easily with AI. You can, as I said, you can automate your SEO work, your on-page, your on-site SEO. You can really automate it with AI.
Is that going to put platforms like SEMrush and Ahrefs out of business?
I don't think so. I think people are paying them mostly for the research part, and I'm sure that they are integrating AI into their platforms. I think in the end, AI is going to make all the platforms better, right? Mm-hmm. All those platforms, all those SaaS platforms will just become much, much better thanks to AI. So all the companies are integrating those AI capabilities and just making what they offer better. So I don't think that they will make them obsolete, but I think some of the tasks will be able to be done automatically within the CMS.
And that brings me to another question: is we were talking about information overload. It's also the shiny new whistle that we all get, bells and whistles, that we get terribly excited about. There is a temptation to think, as a platform or as an agency, I need to be doing all of this right away. Have we got time, or do we need to do it all right away, or do we not need to do it all?
No, I think it doesn't have to be do AI for the sake of AI. I think it's kind of an amazing new tool that we have now that we should ask, everyone should ask how this tool can help me, right, with the stuff that I'm doing. So I don't think it's kind of you have to do it all at once. I would look at if it depends on your goals. Let's say that your goal is to be more efficient, to be more productive. So
that's a great.
Right.
So that's it's a great way of putting it. We've got efficiency, scalability, and what would the profitability would be the other one. But if we're looking for efficiency.
Yeah. So if you're looking for efficiency, so let's look at kind of as an agency, let's analyze what takes me most of the time, which part of the process. And let's see, okay, how AI can help me with this step, to reduce it. So I would kind of look at it from that angle, and not just, hey, AI is so cool, we have to use AI.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, it is cool, but it's also very useful. So.
Okay, so increasing efficiency, and then you talked earlier on about scaling and saying, well, I can scale because I don't need to get involved. So it's kind of partially efficiency, but the scalability aspect is hugely interesting. But it's also tempting to say, well, I'll use AI to improve efficiency and scale better and therefore improve my profitability.
Yeah, this is true. I think like for scalability, we can look at it like, in kind of like two different angles. One, how do I get more customers? And for that, it means how do I automate my customer acquisition, right? So that's one aspect that you can look at. And they're really, I don't think that a lot of agencies are doing it today, and it's not that difficult to try to automate customer acquisition by automating kind of like campaigns, getting the leads in an automated way, and only like the ones that are serious, like to talk with them. So I think it's something that like any agency with more than like, two, 3 persons can try doing it. So that's one side of scalability. And the other one is like, as I said, like offer more services. Offer more services to existing client, or from the get-go to have like larger packages with more services integrated.
Right.
So that's the other part that I would look at.
Yeah, I mean, we found that with the Kalicube Pro agencies, what they are doing is adding Kalicube Pro services, knowledge panels, brand SERPs, and brand reputation management as additional service. And some of them are integrating it into the price, and some of them are adding it as additional services. But I'd like to come back a step. Automating the acquisition process, what does that actually look like?
So as an example, like, and we have like, we put on Duda, like if you go, there's like get more clients, and you can watch a video of like what we did. For example, what you can do, you can create campaigns on Facebook for, niche verticals. And for each niche vertical, like using AI, you can create like, the banner that will display it on Facebook. So it will be very specific to this vertical. And then you click on it, and then like we say, hey, hi, Mr. Plumber. Hey, we can build like your website and improve your SEO. See an example how it looks like. You asked him for like, a few details about like, hey, your business name, using AI to get like all the rest of the details that you need. And then automatically create a website on Duda, like a landing page that incorporates all this information in a beautiful way. And you show the customer, hey, this is your initial website design. Do you want me to finish it? Kind of like let's talk, or fill in your details. So something that like really will tease the client in a very meaningful way. But you as an agency, you don't need to do anything. You kind of like generated like a lead generation machine, basically.
Right. Yeah, no, that sounds actually pretty cool. I mean, I was thinking more about kind of all these emails I keep receiving from companies offering to increase my customer acquisition, and it gets hugely annoying, and they aren't very inventive, and they aren't very personalized. So I think they're not using AI, they're just using somebody's list they found somewhere. I got on some unfortunate list somewhere, and I'm now being bombarded. Anyway, that was absolutely brilliant. Now let's come to the very last question. I mean, I was hugely interested in everything you were sharing there, and I've got lots of ideas. I've taken notes. But I wanted to know, how does AI help digital marketing agencies with branded search? Because this podcast is called Branded Search and Beyond with Jason Barnard. So we have to have branded search in here.
Yeah, sure. So I'm not a branded search expert, but I know that like to do branded search well, you need to do a lot of things, right? You need to build a great website. You need to get a great FAQ. You need to manage your reputation. You need to advertise your brand to get like more traffic and so on. So I think what AI can help you is, let's say that you can now offer branded search service for, I don't know, $1,000 a month, and you can do 5 things. With AI, now we can offer 15 things, because everything will take you much will take much less time to do. So I think like this is really like the idea of AI, do much more with less, and the same also for branded search.
So basically I could have asked, how does AI help with anything? And you could have answered, and it would have been more or less the same answer. It helps you to simplify, it helps you to scale, and it helps you to offer more services for the same amount of money.
This is true, but like specifically branded search, because it's also digital. So this is like really what AI today can help you,
That's a brilliant answer. I love it. That was delightful. Thank you so much, Amir. That was wonderful. And we're now going to introduce next week. It's Clarify Your Vision and Watch Your Business Grow with Tyler. And I think it's Pigott, but I'm not 100% sure. It's going to be super interesting, and I apologize in advance, Tyler, if I said your name incorrectly. Could you pass the baton, Amir?
Yeah, of course. I'm passing the virtual baton to Tyler PJ. By the way, he's running a fully remote business, which is I think a really interesting thing. So good luck, Tyler.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely brilliant. Looking forward to next week with Tyler. Thank you everyone for watching. You get the outro song too. A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, Amir. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Kalicube. It's all about your brand SERP.